Hi, it's Hillary here from Tech News Now, and I had a really exciting weekend. I spent the weekend in West Virginia University. I was invited by Google and PBS MediaShift and West Virginia University to give an address to a bunch of students from all across the country. These students were involved in a gender gap hackathon, and they were all women, and their task was to get together and into small groups and actually come up with an idea that would solve a problem. My presentation was on wearables, of course, and so it was really fun, and it was exciting to meet all these young women. And afterwards, I had the opportunities to see all of their presentations. They had really cool presentations. There was one group that actually came up with this bra that measures cysts and activity in your breast for potential breast cancer. Another group came up with a hat that's solar powered for farmers so that they can check on inventory. There was another group that came up with a biometric strip that goes on the back of a Fitbit to check your sodium levels and your potassium levels. And there was even another group that came up with a great Google Glass app that would be for journalists or bloggers and put everything in one piece. So it was really exciting, and it was great to mentor these young women, and I just had an amazing time.
Well, this is our hackathon for women and in wearables and wearables. We're calling the event Hack the Gender, and we have women here, a lot of young women, but women of all ages from all over the country. And so what they're doing is they're competing to design the best use case for wearable technology. And it's not a coding event, it's more of a design thinking event. We wanted to take a position on wearables because it's such new technology, and our theory is that we want to jump into wearables. We want to kind of take that next step moving into the future.
So the reason we did it, actually, Jane Schachtel, who is one of the global technology leads at Facebook, is on our visiting committee, and she was here about a year ago, and we were talking about how it was interesting that the path for women to influence in technology fields wasn't necessarily through coding and engineering. That if you looked at a lot of the women who were sort of CEOs and some of the sort of prominent leaders, they'd come from marketing and media backgrounds. So we were talking about how we have all of this emphasis on getting women into code, and we thought, well, really, just maybe we need to just orient them to the sort of the culture of technology and sort of being agents of influence. And we talked about it a little bit this morning about not being consumers and not just being users, but being makers and hackers essentially of it. So, but it was interesting because at the same time we were talking about, well, what are voices that are absent from sort of the technology sphere? The other one is journalists. It radically influences our world. When I go to the augmented reality conference, developers, engineers all over the place going, well, we're doing all this cool stuff, but right now it's just gimmicks. We need it to be something that does something meaningful. We need it to have story. I'm like, oh, well, then invite the people who do that into this conversation. So I was already thinking, okay, absent voice women, absent voice journalists, again, but have the same mindset that they're somehow just consumers of technology. They should be hackers, makers, co-collaborators at the beginning. And then the third element was West Virginia University. It's sort of the usual suspects, sort of, Stanford and MIT and sort of the Ivy Leagues to be influences in that conversation. But we've done all this research around disruptor status are people who are not invested in the status quo. So it is not the folks who have comfort. It is not the folks who have complacency. It is not the folks who have economic power. They're the most willing to disrupt because they have the least to preserve. We thought, well, let's just throw all of those things into one event, which is add West Virginia to the conversation, add journalists to the conversation, and add women to the conversation. And then, of course, wearables is you know, an emerging market. We have, like you, the Glass Explorer here. We've got a couple of them, and they're women. And so it was a sort of a natural, it was a natural fit. So that's